Aloha everyone, Michelle Melenis with Blossom Inner Wellness and StandTogetherHawaii.com, and I am here with Auntie Kalei, and wow, she's an historian of historians about Hawaiian history, and we actually did like a full hour video which I'm going to be uploading, but she contacted me and she forgot to add a few things. These are so amazing. So Auntie Kalei, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate the opportunity to let some people know out there the Hawaiian history that we weren't even taught in our schools growing up. So I come from the era of the 1950s, the 1960s, and in Hawaii public schools, Hawaiian history was not taught at all. Therefore, we were forced to, if we wanted to, if we found the need to, go and study and research our Hawaiian history. And so the year 1993 was the year that catapulted me and some relatives to start to really go and find out what happened because of the celebration of the 100th anniversary of the overthrow of our Queen
Liliuokalani.
She was overthrown on January 17, 1893. So January 17, 1993 is the 100th anniversary. So that event was the catalyst. It made us have to study for it.
I want to say, because she's got a plethora of information that she's going to share right now, but I want to tell people that as Americans, like when I came here to the Hawaii Islands, I thought Hawaii was a state. So a lot of times Americans go, what do you mean Hawaii is not a state? It's not a state, you guys. It was she keeps saying overthrown. She's going to share this story of the overthrow of Hawaii and also what Queen Liliuokalani said when this was going down. It's quite amazing. So I just want to let you guys know you're going to understand how and why Hawaii is not a state. It is overthrown by the U.S. corporation, and we're going to share the history right now.
So to clarify, the state of Hawaii exists. It is called the 50th state, but it is a corporation. It is not a sovereign state. So to put that in perspective, those that live in the United States of America, the 48 states are sovereign states. And if you know the history, you will understand why they're called sovereign states, and they are. So the last two states that came into the Union, which would be Alaska, that's the 49th state, and Hawaii being the 50th state. So these two states are called federal states. What does that mean? That means that these two states are corporations. They're incorporated. The name of the corporation is called State of Hawaii and State of Alaska. And the jurisdiction for these two states are federal. They come under the United States federal government. That's where we come under. And the 48 sovereign states are blessed because they are independent countries, and united means that they have aligned their allies with each other, which is very powerful. And that's where your freedoms come from. Your Constitution identifies it's an agreement between the American sovereigns and the people you elect into office. That's why they take an oath to that office, which 99.9% they failed. They breached their oath of office. 99.9%. That's my opinion.
That's true.
So anyway, to take it down, I did a timeline, and I won't spend a lot of time, but I want to give dates because historically everybody's always dates. June 7, 1839, Kamehameha III, he creates the Declaration of Rights. And that Declaration of Rights, as I said previously, is equivalent to the Declaration of Independence. So that was done by Kamehameha III. On October 8, 1840 is the first Hawaiian Constitution by Kamehameha III. His name is Kauiki Auule. That's also his name. So on February 10, 1843, there was a skirmish in the Hawaiian Islands. Evidently, this person, Lord Paulet is his name, from England. he wrote a letter. He complained to the British government that there was some things going on wrong in the Hawaiian Islands with the Hawaiian subjects and with the British subjects, the citizens coming from England. So because of that, Lord Paulet went and overtook the sovereignty of the Hawaiian Islands, yes, in 1843. So what happened is the British government, the monarch, went and had appointed Admiral Thomas to go and investigate. And his name was, let me get that name for you, Admiral Richard Thomas of the British Admiralty. So he's the ocean man. So he goes and he investigates and he finds that's wrong. There's nothing going on. The Hawaiian subjects didn't do anything wrong. So he sends a report back to England, and England says, okay, Paulet, you did something wrong. You shouldn't have done that. You're breaking international laws. You know, you can't do that because we have this friendship with the Hawaiian Islands. So they had to give back the sovereignty to the Hawaiian people, the Hawaiian kingdom, who was at the time the monarch, Kamehameha III. So this was in February 10, 1843, when all of this was going on. And at that time, in that year, July 25, 1843, Kamehameha met with Admiral Thomas at this area on Oahu, which is called Admiral Thomas Square. And it's pretty popular, which is a park in outside downtown Honolulu. And there, they named it after him because that's where they had this meeting and giving back, returning the sovereignty of the Hawaiian kingdom back to Kamehameha III from England. And so this was a very important date, and that was July 25, 1843. And at this event, this whole procedure, Kamehameha III uttered these words, "Ua mau ke'ea o ka aina I ka pono." The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. He said those words in Hawaiian to thank the British government for being honest and doing the right thing. And that's the reason why the translation is the life of the land. The life of the land is what we hold on dear to. It's ours. It belongs to me, the life of the land. So he put it in those words. The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. When you do things right, it is perpetuated. That's what you want to do. So that's very famous. It's a very famous, and now the state of Hawaii, which is the corporation, they went and took Kamehameha III's words for getting his land returned from the British government. They now use it on their seal, their state seal, and it is their motto as well. So how ironic is that?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's really blatantly,
Wow.
talk about slapping somebody in the face. I don't know what you would call that. So November 28, 1843, a formal international recognition of the Hawaiian Islands as a sovereign and independent state. This is the year, November 28, 1843, that the Hawaiian Islands, or the Hawaiian Kingdom, is sponsored by the British and the French, and it's called the French-Anglo Agreement, where they sponsored the Hawaiian Islands and brought us into the family of nations, having the same equal footing as France, England, Spain, Italy, Japan, all the countries at that point in time that were in this family of nations. That is the reason why we talk international law. That when we complain or have any complaints, we, the Hawaiian Kingdom, the Hawaiian subjects, must go to The Hague in the Netherlands. We don't, the American courts and the state of Hawaii courts, since they are incorporated corporations, they are what we call equity contract courts. It's all contractual. So, all right, so then the next timeline is January 1st, 1882. As a recognized sovereign and independent state, the Hawaiian Islands became a full member of the Universal Postal Union. That's very important, the Postal Service. Then, and it was also noted that when we became that independent nation state, we were also a neutralized country, international, in the family of nations. We had the same designation as Switzerland.
Wow.
We're neutral, whereby all other countries could come to the Hawaiian Kingdom and not fear or be protected.
Wow.
It was same as Switzerland. Okay. Then April 6, 1853, Alexander Liho, he was Kamehameha IV. He was the adopted son, and he took over the monarchy. Kamehameha III passed away, so he took office on April 6, 1853. That's Kamehameha IV. Now his wife is Queen Emma, and she is the person that after they lost their son to an illness. So her husband dies, her young son dies, and so she's alive, but when she passes away, she leaves all of their assets, land, valuables, and creates the Queen's Medical Center. That's what it's known today as, but she started it as the Queen's Hospital that was to service all persons of the Hawaiian ancestry for free. But it doesn't happen today because it hasn't happened for a very long time, and I think it's because the state of Hawaii, the corporation, has taken it over. It's a beautiful hospital, it really is, and they have one of the best medical doctors there in the world, and it's supposed to be free to us, Hawaiian blooded people, but that it doesn't happen unless you know about her trust, her will, and you demand. But if you don't know, then you pay a big bill. So poor thing, she tried to do that. Then on December 11th, 1872, Kamehameha the fifth, he passes away on December 11th, so he takes office on April 6th. He dies on December 11th, 1872. This is Kamehameha V because he took office after his Kamehameha IV died, and he is the next reigning Kamehameha. But they happen to die so early. They don't serve a long time on the throne. And whatever the reason is, I'm not sure, but they die one after the other. So on January 8th, 1873, they have to select someone, and they selected William Charles Luna Lilo. So he was considered to be the first king elected, because normally they get their successors, they get selected when the monarch is in office, and that's law that they have to select an heir. But if they fail to do it, then they have to elect. So that's in line with the Constitution for the Hawaiian Kingdom. So now, Charles Luna Lilo, he passes away February 12, 1874. David Kalakaua is elected the next king. And then he passes away. First he selects his younger brother, Prince William Pitt Lele Ohoku, but he dies at a very young age, so there goes the heir. Then on April 11, 1877, King Kalakaua appoints his sister, Liliu Okalani, who will become our future queen. It goes down, I took it down to these insurgents that got together and decided to overthrow, and they started it in June 30th, 1887. Foreign nationals, they met and to organize a revolution and take over the government. So from that date, 1887, all the way to the overthrow, January 17, 1893, if you look at those dates, all of that time, these insurgents were scheming, meeting, talking to each other, how we're going to do this, how we're going to do that.
And I have a question about that. So the foreign nationals, you're talking about the United States and people came over?
Yeah.
And these were the, okay.
Yeah. The amount of people were close to 20, and they were predominantly from the United States. They were predominantly, and the reason why they would be called foreign nationals is because the reason is because when they lived in the Hawaiian Islands and the Hawaiian Kingdom, they could have naturalized as a citizen, but they chose for some reason not to, and probably it's because they wanted to overthrow. But there were some main people in this organization that through their birth they were Hawaiian subjects, and they forgot that. And this was Lauren Thurston, whose grandfather, or I think grandfather, was the one of the original missionaries that came over. And Lauren Thurston was a key individual in as an insurgent that overthrew the Queen. And he also owned the Pacific Advertiser, which became the Honolulu Advertiser. Oh. So he owned the media. Very important. And then Sanford Doe was another one that was a key person in the insurgents, and his family also were missionaries that came to Hawaii. So they forgot that the law is that when you're born of parents that naturalize as Hawaiian subjects, you automatically become that Hawaiian subject. So some of these guys forgot that, not realizing they were committing treason. So from that date all the way to 1893, and I just wanted to kind of bring that up about the people that were behind the scenes and making all these plans to overthrow. And one of the very good missionaries that I learned about, the last name is Gulick, G-U-L-I-C-K. So it's a great, really great missionary family. People need to go and study more about that family that came to Hawaii and did missionary work. They were what I call true blue missionaries that believed in God and the Word of God and Jesus Christ. They were absolutely fabulous. They supported the Hawaiian population, and this is one of the sons. His name is Charles Gulick. He was Minister of the Interior from 1883 to 1886, and he concluded when he saw what was going on with these insurgents, he said, the ready acquiescence of the king to their demands seriously disconcerted the conspirators, as they had hoped that his refusal would have given them an excuse for deposing him. He's talking about King David Kalakaua and how they bullied King Kalakaua to sign the constitution called the Bayonet Constitution, meaning they held guns to his head. They created this constitution to favor them. These were the foreigners, and in order for them to get that signed, they had to hold guns to King David Kalakaua's head and say, sign it or else. That's why it's called the Bayonet Constitution.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it actually,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, the Bayonet Constitution, it happened. And so what ended up happening is that Chief Justice Judd, he was a medical doctor when he first came to Hawaii. I have a book on him. And he was called in to swear the king to the new constitution in the presence of the cabinet. And that new constitution of 1887 is called the Bayonet Constitution. And this was at this time when Chief Justice Judd, when he was asked to swear the king in and to do the signing, this is when King David Kalakaua found out that this missionary person that came over as missionaries was a co-conspirator. So I think it was hurtful. I think it really devastated the king. So after this happened is when Charles Gulick, who was the minister, and he comes from a missionary family, and he said this. These are his words. And he said, an excuse for deposing him and a show of resistance, a justification for assassinating him. This is what the insurgents were hoping by presenting this Bayonet Constitution to King David Kalakaua. They were hoping that he was not going to sign it. He was going to resist, and therefore giving the insurgents a reason to assassinate him.
Wow. Something
like that. This is what Gulick said. This was his observation as Minister of the Interior. So then November 22, 1888, they have the Political Association of Hui Kalai Aina. These states are organizations that organize to stop the overthrow. They were the resistance. So this is one of the clubs called Hui Kalai Aina, or in English, it's the Hawaiian Political Association. Okay. Then they had another one called the Liberal Patriotic Association, and this was made up of young men that guarded the Queen. They knew how to use weapons, and they actually did a rebellion, but it wasn't successful. It was led by Robert Willcox, July 30, 1889. Robert Willcox was the organization's leader. He led an unsuccessful armed attack with 80 men, just 80 men against the cabinet ministry on the grounds of the Iolani Palace. They were not successful. And then, after all of that, he gets charged with treason.
Oh my gosh.
How's that?
Wow.
He gets charged with treason. He's a Hawaiian subject saving his country. Talk about an upside, I mean, the world went upside down in 1800s. It didn't start in the 1900s. Just letting you know that. So this is proof. So he gets off of that because he gets off of that because when they go through courts, the jurors who happen to be Native Hawaiians found him not guilty because they knew what was going on, that the king was forced to sign this constitution, and then they went and got him for conspiracy. And of course he got off of that. January 20, 1891, King David Kalakaua dies in San Francisco because after all of this stress,
that's right.
Yeah, all of this stress, he goes and sails to San Francisco for rest. So he's there, he sails to San Francisco November 25, 1890, and then on January 20, 1891, he passes away.
I just want to say one thing about that. I heard, because I was reading the Queen Liliuokalani's diary, that this makes me want to cry, because that he was coming back and everybody was going to celebrate, but he had died and they didn't know because the message hadn't gotten to the people yet. So everybody was excited that their king was coming back, and then they saw the black sails and they realized he was dead. So everybody was excited, and then they see to celebrate his return, and they didn't even know he was gone. He was dead, and then they seen it. How they learned he was dead was his ships coming in with the black sails, and I'm just like, that is like so heart-wrenching.
That's true, though. That's absolutely correct. Well, they didn't have cell phones in those days. We didn't have the technology, which is, I'm comparing, today, the technology we have versus what they didn't have back in the old days. But yeah, that's exactly correct. And it was hard on the people in the Hawaiian Islands to see that, to know that their monarch, the head of state, died. So January 1891, that same date and year, Liliuokalani, who is the heir, and she was left in charge when he left. She takes the oath of office, which was administered by Chief Justice Albert F. Judd.
This is her.
Yeah.
That's a picture.
Yeah. So Alfred F. Judd is the same Chief Justice that was trying to get her brother to go ahead and swear him in and sign the Bayonet Constitution. So he's still a player, and he moves from the brother to the sister, swearing her into office on January 1891.